Hi, everyone, and welcome to our virtual candidate forum for Macomb County Sheriff. My name is London Bell, and I am the president of the Macomb County Branch of the NAACP, and will also be serving as your moderator for this evening. Our two candidates, Anthony Wickersham and Terrence Mikowski. Hello, I want to welcome you both.
Thank you for the invite.
How are you? Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on behalf of the Macomb County NAACP branch, I would like to thank our candidates and everyone tuning in this evening. I would also like to thank our collaborators, the Michigan Republican Assembly and the official Democratic Black Caucus of Macomb County for joining us to host this very important forum. So I just want to say, as members of the NAACP, would like to just add a note that we are nonpartisan and we do not endorse candidates. And so this forum is for all of us here and for the broader community to get to know our candidates. Okay, and I also want to introduce Christy. Christy is our Education Committee Chair for our NAACP branch, and she's our timekeeper this evening.
And should I?
Actually, I'm gonna right now we're gonna go through some basic guidelines that we're gonna ask everyone to follow this evening. And so first, if you are not speaking, you can all please stay muted for those that are in the meeting. And then I'm gonna go through a list of them. So respectful conduct, we expect all participants, including candidates, me and audience members are all expected to conduct themselves respectfully. Disruptions, personal attacks, or disrespectful behavior, of course, is unacceptable. We do have our timekeeper, Christy, and so she's going to show you what the time will look like. Opening statements are 2 minutes each, and you'll get a reminder beforehand. And then questions, you'll have 2 minutes to answer each question. And then if you'd like to give a rebuttal, there will be 1 minute for rebuttals. And then your closing statements will be for 2 minutes. So I believe, Christy, you're going to give like a 30-second warning. She'll be back. So I will ask the questions and manage the flow of the forum. And I'll be, monitoring the speaking time frame. So, and unfortunately, if you all go past the time, I may have to interrupt you so that we can move on to the next question. As far as audience is concerned, members are encouraged to submit questions in the chat for the candidates. And we do have questions that came in when people registered. So we have a list of questions. And this is a great evening also because we have quite a few questions from young people as well. We ask that candidates do not interrupt each other. You'll each have an opportunity to speak and respond. We also ask that you focus on the issues relevant to Macomb County. And again, this will be shared with the public and available on our YouTube channel. And so I don't see anything else, no campaign material or banners. I don't see that anywhere. And so you all agree to these guidelines?
Sure.
Okay, great. So we're going to move into opening statements. And Tony, I would like to call on you to give your 2-minute opening statement.
Very good. For those of you that don't know, I'm Tony Wickersham. I'm the current Macomb County Sheriff. I've been with the Sheriff's Office. I'm in my 39th year. I've worked in corrections. I was road patrol, narcotics investigation, detective bureau, part of, at the time, Mark Hackle's administration, until I was appointed sheriff in 2011, and then successfully won in 2012, 2016, and 2020. I have an associate's degree from Macomb Community College in law enforcement, a bachelor's degree from Wayne State University in interdisciplinary studies. I've been to the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia, and also Northwestern University School of Police Staff and Command. For the past 14 years, I've been the sheriff. I've been dealing with issues not only inside the facility, outside. I have a great team that I work with on a daily basis. Obviously, the men and women of the sheriff's office are really the key to a successful organization. I have built collaborated services with large communities, City of Sterling Heights, Clinton Township. We consolidated dispatch services in the early 2000s. We are a contracted law enforcement agency, and we police 6 communities here in Macomb County, and we are increasing deputies in those communities. And our biggest project, and really if people don't know, but the bread and butter of a county sheriff is to run a county jail. So we have a new central intake and assessment center that's is under construction and will open in 2027. Thank you.
Of course, if I can come off mute. 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. I'm Terrence McCaskey. I'm running as your Republican candidate for Macomb County Sheriff. I truly believe my experience in law enforcement. I started my career at the age of 19 years old when I became a Detroit police officer, where I worked for 5 years, leaving there to become an Oakland County deputy, where I rose through the ranks as deputy, detective, sergeant, lieutenant, and deputy commander of patrol services, as well as our executive lieutenant in charge of our county jail. I also led an FBI drug task force for 8 years and a DEA task force for 4 years, combating drug crisis out of Oakland and Macomb counties. When I retired in 2016, I was hired by the DEA as their senior financial investigator assigned to our opioid strike task force. I worked there for 4 years until I was elected as your state representative for the 36th district here in Macomb. One of my top priorities as sheriff will be to uphold the Constitution, protect the rights of the citizens in Macomb County, including your right to bear arms. We also need to strengthen our borders within Macomb County. As a border county, I will work closely with neighboring law enforcement agencies, federal agencies, to ensure the safety of our residents. In addition, human trafficking and child trafficking are unspeakable crimes that need to be eradicated from our county. I will collaborate with local and federal agencies to create new and effective networks that actively identify, investigate, prosecute these individuals. Another crucial obstacle is the opioid fentanyl epidemic that has plagued our neighborhoods. I will work tirelessly to work and help educate citizens about the fentanyl awareness education, especially in our high schools in Macomb County, with the help of fentanyl fathers. I'm committed to implementing comprehensive strategies to ramp up road patrol and narcotic teams to intercept the trafficking of illegal drugs and the flow across of our borders and our waterways. In addition, we need to combat drug abuse, including prevention programs, rehabilitation initiatives, and a strong law enforcement effort to disrupt the supply chain. Another pressing issue, which demands our attention, is the protection of our seniors here in Macomb. The cyber scams and the attacks that are going on. I'll work to educate our elderly population to ensure they have the resources to stay safe. I hope I can earn your vote for Macomb County Sheriff as your constitutional sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And so we are now moving into the question period. We've broken it down into 2 rounds. Round 1 will be questions that have come from the collaborating organizations. And then round 2 will be questions coming in from the community and through the chat if anyone has any questions. So for round 1, each of you will have 2 minutes to answer each question. And if you want to do a 1-minute rebuttal, you will have that 1 minute. And so the first question actually comes from our branch, the NAACP Macomb County Branch. And I would love for you all, for those who may not know the major responsibilities of what a sheriff does on a day-to-day basis, could you share with us the role of the Macomb County Sheriff, the major responsibilities, including how a sheriff should be building relationships with communities? Okay, so Tony, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, as I mentioned in my opening statement, there's 83 sheriffs here in the state of Michigan and 83 counties. The office of sheriff is a constitutional office, and the main responsibility is running the county jail, the care and custody of prisoners remanded to the county jail. So over the years, we have had many problems at the county jail with overcrowding, an older facility that dates back to 1950. I've been working along with my staff to increase supervision inside the county jail and better supervise and attend to inmates that are remanded. As sheriff, you have to be out in the community. Again, we are the contracted law enforcement agency for 6 communities. So not only do I, deal with the Board of Commissioners, we also deal with those 6 community township leaders to make sure that we're providing services that they require and they need to meet their law enforcement demands. We also take care of the courts. We have deputy sheriffs working in the courts. We transport prisoners to all the district courts in Macomb County and the circuit court. So as sheriff, you have to be educated, you have to have the experience, and you have to have the communication to go on out and network with other community leaders. And as the sheriff, we just can't do it alone. I have a great working relationship with every law enforcement agency in Macomb County and even in Southeast Michigan. And we all know that we can't be our own island, and we have to open up the borders and we have to work together as a team. And that's what we do. We have deputies that are assigned to many multiple jurisdictional task force. So more law enforcement officers working can handle and deal with the problems.
Thank you very much. Terry, same question. Would you like me to read it again?
One more time, please.
Okay, sure. Can you share with us the role of Macomb County Sheriff, the major responsibilities of a sheriff, and how sheriffs work to build relationships with communities?
Absolutely. Coming over from Detroit when I was 25 years old, after putting in 5 years with the city of Detroit, I came over to the Oakland County Sheriff's Department where I cut my teeth and rose from deputy all the way to deputy commander, where I ran our patrol services division. The Oakland County, is a full service sheriff's department. That's the 3rd largest road patrol in the country, in the state here, behind the state police and the Detroit Police Department. We have to build relationships. I had 12 substations under me. My sheriff's department, or my patrol services division, had more personnel than the Macomb County Sheriff's Department had. So I'm very familiar with working with the school districts, with the municipalities, with working with our state, federal, and local and county authorities. We have to build those relationships out. As also a member, like Sheriff Wickersham is, with the Southeast Michigan Sheriff's Association. I was the representative from the Oakland County Sheriff's Department there with all our chiefs in the Southeast Michigan. So I'm very familiar with all the folks in Macomb County and running these federal task forces out of Oakland, Macomb counties, and working out of Wayne County quite a bit. Those relationships are well in place for myself as well. As a sheriff, we fundamentally disagree. I believe that the sheriff, first and foremost, is your constitutional elected sheriff. So my first responsibility is the people of Macomb County and protecting your constitutional rights. Second is the county jail, which I intend to revamp the training unit in Macomb County and bring a Gold Star training unit to Macomb County, which we had in Oakland County. Our death rate is way too high in Macomb County, almost 3 times the natural average. Over 20 some people have died in the sheriff's tenure there. And I'm not blaming Sheriff Wickersham himself, but the policies and procedures that are in place need to be looked at. They need to be changed. And we, coming from Detroit, Macomb County, since I've been a younger gentleman coming up in the city, I've always had questions about Macomb County, and we need to do better in Macomb County for our citizens.
Okay, great. Thank you. Tony, would you like any type of rebuttal? 1 minute? Yeah,
just real quick. Terry talks about constitutional sheriff. The first day I've taken my oath of office, either as sheriff or as a deputy sheriff, I've always sworn to uphold the Constitution. And I have done that over my 39-year career. I understand that our citizens' rights are first and foremost, and we have to play by the rules. And that is number one. So I don't have to come out and say I'm a constitutional sheriff. That just goes with saying when I swore to uphold the Constitution, that's what I do. Number two, I would tell you my people in the training unit would be very upset to sit here that our training is not up to par. We train. Our SWAT team is the only team in, I believe, maybe in Southeast Michigan, it trains twice a month. But we also have the first and foremost training to the corrections, to deputies. We buy top-notch equipment. To say it needs to be improved, I disagree.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on to the next question. And Terry, I'm going to ask you this question first. And this is from the Democratic Black Caucus of Macomb County. Can you describe how your career has been enhanced by exposure to people of color and your interaction with people of color?
Well, like I spoke earlier, I'm an East Side kid. I came from the city of Detroit. The neighborhood I came up in was a very diverse neighborhood. The Detroit Police Department obviously was very diverse, and coming over to the Oakland County Sheriff's Department was a bit of a culture shock for me, coming from Detroit and coming across 8 Mile. So that being said, my family is culturally diverse. My friends are coming up in the city. Like I said, that was second nature to me, and I don't treat anybody different. And I make sure that we have to first and foremost have cultural sensitivity. We have to know we have a very diverse community, and I came up in a very diverse community in Detroit, so I was aware of that starting out. Coming to Oakland County and even moving into Macomb County, I've noticed how that's been changing. But we have to interact with people of different faith, of different color, of different ethnicities. We have to know their culture. We have to get to, once again, I'm going to go back all day to training. To me, training is your staple. If you're a law enforcement officer, if you're military, train. Sheriff Wickersham may disagree, and I'm not attacking him or his training unit, but I just believe that Oakland County and Michael J. Bouchard's training unit was second to none. And I believe I'm going to emulate that when I hopefully become the next Macomb County Sheriff. And we need the cultural diversity training to make sure that our law enforcement officers, when they go into a circumstance, that they're going to know the background of different people. Different people are insulted or take offense to different buzzwords or topics or whatever. And we have to know those. We have to be culturally diverse. And if we're not in this day and age, then shame on us. And that's, once again, train.
Thank you very much. Tony, would you like to take the question? Would you like for me to repeat it?
Yeah, would you just repeat it one more time? Thank you.
Sure. Describe how your career has been enhanced by exposure to people of color and your interaction with people of color.
You know, growing up at the sheriff's office, you know, when I started, we only had a couple hundred employees, and we're just under 600 employees now. And I have seen the department grow over the years, and the last 14 years, and even prior to that, we've been working hard to diversify, you know, the sheriff's office. We have been going out into the community to recruit. We've been going to the city of Detroit, to Wayne State, to all the colleges, to try and make sure that we have a good makeup of the people that are living in Macomb County and the people that we're going to respond to. We do the diversity, equity training. We do again, cultural diversity. We do autism training. We want to make sure that our deputies have all the tools in their tool belt that when they respond, that they're going to understand. Listen, law enforcement, it's all about communication. You're dealing with people. You have to know how to communicate. I've also been out in the community talking to different community leaders. You know, we are the police agency for the city of Mount Clemens. And we talk to the city leaders and the faith-based communities leaders and make sure that we're doing what we need to do. If there's ever an issue out there, I am never shy about taking a phone call and looking into any matter and to get back. If our people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you know, we're going to address the issue. I could tell you, and that may come up later, I was the first law enforcement agency in Macomb County to go to body cameras. A lot of police agencies did not want to go. They did not want to be transparent. Having body cameras just tells the whole story. Whatever issues that are going on out there or any complaints that we have from citizens, no matter what it is, we're able to review that body camera. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any rebuttal from you, Terry?
No, like I say, I'm not here to attack Sheriff Wickersham. He has his positions. I have mine. I think our backgrounds are very different, where we come from and what we've done. And I appreciate the sheriff's comments.
Thank you very much. And so we have one more question from the Macomb County Branch of the NAACP. And Tony, I will start with you. How will you work to prevent the use of excessive force by your officers against Black and Brown citizens in Macomb County? And please be specific.
Be specific. It's training. I'll echo what Terry said. You have to have training. You have to lay out your use of force policies. Your staff needs to understand the use of force. They need to know how to communicate. Verbal judo. That it's all about talking and dealing with people and not acting. You don't always have to go hands-on with people. We assure that. And as I mentioned, let's face it, everything today is on video, and the body cameras, they tell the story. And anytime there's a citizen complaint, we review it. But we also do, within our use of force curriculum, we have a use of force coordinator that reviews all use of force to make sure that it is following departmental policy. And if we see that there's use of force that is out of line, then that is addressed with an internal investigation. Whether it's a training issue, we have never been shy that if there's excessive force that rises to the criminal level, that we will present that case to the prosecutor's office for their review so that they have the final say. So as sheriff, I am committed to make sure that the deputy sheriffs, whether they're inside the jail or outside dealing with the community, use only the appropriate force necessary to effectuate the arrest and get this situation under control.
Thank you very much. And Terry, how about you? I'm going to read the question again. How will you work to prevent the use of force by officers against Black and Brown citizens in Macomb County? And please be specific.
Sure. Once again, I would prioritize ongoing training programs that include scenario-based exercises and workshops that are led by expert, competent, culturally diverse trainers. Training needs to be done by somebody who comes from that community and that can express the needs of that community and the wants and the concerns of the community. We need to go back to community policing. We need to. When I lived in Detroit, we had a mini station. We were right across the street at Lipke Park. We could go in there. We seen the beat officers walk in the street. We got to get back in touch. I was also a school resource officer, and some of those kids still call me. I was the first school resource officer in Oakland County in Lapeer in the Lake Gorian School District. Some of those kids still call me. We have to have a one-on-one relationship. We have to know the culture that we're dealing with. We have to have those workshops. We have to have the training mandates, and we have to have constitutional training. I'm sure you've seen many of these constitutional audits where these officers are coming up. They don't know that they can't just force somebody to give ID. They can't force somebody who is carrying a open carry gun to give them ID. They can't stop somebody from going into a public building and film or take pictures or stand on the street and preach, even though if it's bothering somebody with the freedom of speech. We have to know our constitutional rights. And our officers are not trained in constitution, no law. Most of them, since they've been in the academy, and very little in the academy about your rights as a citizen and how we work for you. I work as a law enforcement officer since I've been 19 years old. I've worked for you, and I intend to, as the next sheriff, work for you. You don't work for me. I'm not above you. I work for you. I've never, in 35 years of law enforcement, was I offended when somebody said that they pay my salary, because they do. And I chose to be a public servant. And that's why I'm running in this race, to be a public servant for Macomb County and keep Macomb County safe.
Okay, thank you very much. Tony, do you have any?
Yeah, I would just want to say that the deputies and staff do get the constitutional training. We've had the auditors in our building many, many times, and our staff knows how to deal with them professionally. We've had them going around our building and putting cameras into our offices and windows, and we understand that, you know, this is something that they can do. So why let them get under your skin? We know how to deal with it. We're professional, and that's just what the men and women of the sheriff's office do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So thank you both, and we're going to move into round two. And these questions are from the community based on our Zoom registration. There have been questions that have come from young people and from the chat as well. And so the first question that I have actually is for you, Terry, and that question is, so in your bio, you talk about working as a law enforcement officer, and it sounds like your work has mostly been centered in Detroit and Oakland County as a law enforcement officer. So can you share why you are running for sheriff in Macomb County as opposed to the other areas you have a longstanding service?
Well, what I mentioned earlier, I ran an FBI task force for 8 years. That was out of Oakland and Macomb counties. It was called the Oakland Macomb Interdiction Crew. The DEA task force for another 4 years, that's 12 years total, was called the Oakland Macomb Interdiction Crew. I've worked most of my career, or half of my career, in Oakland and Macomb counties, running a task force for Sheriff Hackle and Sheriff Wickersham. So I'm and when I left Detroit, I moved into Macomb County, and I've been here since I've been 25 years old. I've raised my children here, my grandchildren here. This is my community. And that's why I'm running for the Macomb County Sheriff, because I have 4 kids and 13 grandbabies that live in this area. And I want to make sure that we have a safer Macomb County to live in.
Okay, thank you. And so this next question is, or Tony, did you have anything that you wanted to share?
No,
Okay.
no, thank you.
This next question is for you. The noise pollution from cars, racing engines on Hall Road is often unbearable and can cause accidents. What will you do about it?
Well, we have been, we have a traffic unit. Hall Road and our jurisdiction is in Macomb Township. With Macomb Township is our largest contractual area. We're out there. One of our biggest concerns. I mean, there's a lot of issues going on, crime, but traffic is a really big problem in Macomb County. Obviously, Macomb County's growing. With growth comes, additional problems, and traffic is one of those problems. We work hard. We can't be everywhere, and that's not a cop out. It's a big county. It's a big township. But the deputies are well in tune to traffic enforcement, and not everybody gets a ticket. A lot of times a warning goes a lot further. But the loud cars, the noise ordinance, those are issues that if seen, if heard, we respond to. That we'll take care of it. I know we have in several calls, I think, in and around the Hall Road area with the subdivisions there, that late night drag racing. So, they come up with a plan on hours and try and do some directive patrol or try and get some of the unmarked cars and the slick back cars in and around the area to catch them. So, it's all about being out there, knowing where the problems are, and then we respond to them.
Thank you very much. Terry, this question is for you. In 2021, you were photographed shaking hands with men carrying flags and wearing clothing designating them as members of the Proud Boys. What is your level of support for this organization?
I've heard this once or twice before, and I didn't even know who the gentlemen were. When you're running for office, you shake hands with everybody. I have no affiliation, no ties to, or no association with the group, and I really didn't even know who they were when I shook the hands. And obviously, I've told you my background. I'm as diverse as they come from where I've came up, my family, and I would never support anything that isn't 100%. First and foremost, I'm a God-fearing man that believes that every creed, culture, that is one, and any group that may have an objection to that, I have nothing to do with.
Okay, thank you very much. Tony, I have a question for you that's coming in from the chat. Is Macomb County, is the Sheriff Department an accredited law enforcement organization? If not, are there plans to become accredited or certified? So
currently on the law enforcement side, we are not an accredited law enforcement agency. That is something that I have been pondering and probably will do after the first of the year. Our big accreditation is with the National Correctional Healthcare coming in and accrediting the jail. The accreditation process is relatively new here in the state of Michigan. Michigan Association Chiefs of Police put a program, and I believe it's been over the last 5 years that law enforcement agencies have been stepping up and going through the accreditation process. I've been focusing on other things at this point, but I could tell you, knowing the process of the accreditation and knowing the sheriff's office and knowing our policies and procedures, we would have no problem being accredited and probably move forward with that after the first of the year. The accreditation process is really all about having policies in place and other things internally to make sure that you're doing everything right. Over my career, every 5 years, we review every policy in the sheriff's general orders to make sure that it's up to date, that it's current, whether a policy needs to stay or not. And then that goes out to the entire department to review and make sure that they're all responsible for understanding the policy.
Okay, thank you very much. And so
can I make a quick rebuttal on that? Yeah. I would definitely move. Once again, I'll go back to training. Training is a big part of that as well for the accreditation. And I would definitely move towards getting the department accredited, as well as our deputies in the jail who are corrections officers right now. Half of our officers are corrections officers, and they're not deputized, and they're not gun trained, and they're not carrying weapons. In Macomb County, I believe that's we're one of the few in Macomb County that aren't cross-trained. In Oakland County, all the other counties, these deputies inside are cross-trained so that they can carry weapons. They can go on hospital watches, and in an emergency, they can take the inmates to the hospital without waiting to take a man off the road to come to the hospital. In a critical incident, which I'm very big on pre-planning, we need to have our deputies all deputized. We need to have them trained in weapons to keep you and your family safe every day in case of a critical incident.
Can I address that?
Go ahead.
Hey, just real quick. Corrections officers are civilian officers. They know that when they come in. There's collective bargaining agreements that work within the sheriff's office. Hospital guard, all of those positions are deputy sheriff's work. We have spoken with unions before, and the deputy sheriffs will not give up that work. That is their work. It's a union issue. Corrections officers do have concealed pistol licenses, and they're able to carry outside the facility. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so we're going to move on to our next question. And this question is coming in from a young person, 17 years old. And this is for both of you. Tony, I will start with you. How can police departments better build trust with young Black men when we often feel targeted just because of how we look?
It's all about communication. It's all about we're in schools, school resource officers. We're in all the high schools and the middle schools. And it's those deputies that are in there that need to lay the foundation and try and build that rapport and that trust. And again, it's all about contact. Whatever the contact is, the first contact always has to be polite. It has to be professional. If we go on out there and treat people right, we're going to earn their respect. And I think that's, the vision of the sheriff's office, and that's my vision. Every new employee that comes in, and I tell them this job's all about communicating, treat people like you want to be treated. You go up on a traffic stop and, just because they're speeding, you're going to start, getting an attitude and yelling at them. Well, just think about it. I bet you speed. or is that how you want your grandmother or your mother or somebody that you love to be treated by a law enforcement officer? And again, one officer speaks for the whole state of Michigan. So again, we got to go back to the training. We got to go back to good communicating skills. And if we do that, I think we can earn the trust of young Black men.
Thank you very much. Terrence, Harry?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we have to go back to basics. We have to have our regular town hall meetings. We have to get with our pastors. I mean, I've been on Reverend Sheffield's show a few different times. I've talked to Karen Dumas. These are people that I want to be in touch with, and I want to be part of our administration, or at least a soundboard for it. And like I say, coming up where I came up in the city of Detroit, and being well versed in a minority community, it's something that has to be addressed. We have to make people feel wanted, and we have to let the training, once again, goes back to the cultural training of how to talk to people, how to respect people, show respect, and you get respect. And it may be a different way that different cultures see it. But if we're trained in the proper aspects, or you have a culturally diverse trainer come in to let these folks know, because hey, let's be truthful. When I came out to Oakland County, like I said, there were folks out there that hadn't dealt with minorities before. And it's a matter of training in a lot of aspects. It's not a matter of maybe prejudice. It's a matter of they never been around folks to know, how they act, how they talk to, or what offends people. So we need to have these trainers come in and be part of our sheriff's department, and be there as a sounding board, and be a part of as a partnership and a review board.
Thank you very much. Tony, did you have anything to add?
No, all set. Thank you.
Okay, great. And this next question is for both of you. And Terry, I'll start with you. What do you think is the biggest issue relating to crime that Macomb County is currently dealing with?
Well, of course, if we were talking 4 years ago, I would say drugs, and it's still drugs. However, we have such an influx of illegal immigration that's coming across. The crime is going to our break-ins into our homes, to our cars, to our vehicles. That all needs to be addressed, and that has to be addressed on obviously a local level. And you have to have a sheriff that's going to be willing to tackle that problem head on, and be a constitutionalist that's going to deal with whether political fallout or not by some folks that may not agree. If you're here illegally and you do a crime, you have to be turned over to ICE, and you have to go home. We have to deal with the law, and we have to know that to keeping Macomb County residents safe, we have to follow the law, and that's what I'll be doing as your sheriff.
Thank you, Terry. Tony?
I do follow the law. Our deputies do have contact with individuals that shouldn't be here in our country. We work with the federal partners, and we make sure that those individuals are taken out of the county and turned over for proper identification, and if they're going to head back to the country of their origin. Drugs are always a problem here. We've been fighting that in Macomb County, for over 20 years. What we have seen an increase in is crime that's being committed by our juveniles. We have juveniles that are stealing cars and are waiting for the police to come just for the thrill of getting into the police chase. Those are things that are on the increase. So we're working on surveillance, we're working on identifying these individuals, and we want to make sure that we can reduce that type of crime. Our public order crimes, domestic violences, those are things that we have always been dealing with, and we respond. But again, being able to get out and educate people. As it relates to illegal immigration, I don't play the politics one way or the other. I look at the statistics though, and I could tell you that in 2023, we processed over 16,000 inmates at the Macomb County Jail. And of those 16,000 inmates, 84 of those inmates were illegal aliens. They were illegal and shouldn't have been here in the country. So I don't think we have an illegal alien problem committing crime that's running rapid in Macomb County. We have to work on identifying the other crime and the other people, and how do we reduce that, and how do we try and deter that. We work on the border with our federal partners out on Lake St. Clair because we have an international border. So we do our best out there also.
Thank you very much.
Well, if I can make a quick rebuttal to that, I
Sure.
ran the federal task forces, and the Oakland Macomb interdiction crew was an interdiction crew that worked the highways, the planes, the trains, the automobiles, and the waterways. And many times we turned over illegal immigration, illegal immigrants to ICE that came across our waterways, guns and drugs that came across our waterways. And Sheriff Wickersham knows that some of the biggest drug seizures and gun seizures that our crew did are still on the books in Macomb County and Oakland County. I can't imagine that Sheriff Bouchard is screaming from the hills about the illegal immigrants that are robbing our homes, and they're stopping at the Macomb border. It's not the way it works. Monroe State Police just took a report today. It was in the news about hotels that are housing illegal immigrants by the dozens. So I just can't believe Macomb's going to be immune to it. I don't know how that would happen.
Okay. Tony, would you like to do a rebuttal?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we're going to move on to our next question, and I'm seeing a pattern in questions when it comes when the questions are coming from our young people. So we have another question coming in from a 19-year-old, and he asks, "What advice do you have?" And this is for both of you, and Tony, I will start with you. What advice do you have for young people on how to handle interactions with police to stay safe while also standing up for our rights?
Right. So again, the interaction, and if it's illegal contact, we'll just use the traffic stop. We ask, and I think they even start teaching a little bit of that in school or in driver's training. Make sure your hands are visible. Listen to the orders of the officer. Again, a simple traffic stop should be as easy as, the questions going back and forth and providing a license and registration and proof of insurance. There really shouldn't be much more going back and forth. Whether you believe the light was red, whether you believe you were speeding or not, to debate that with an officer, I don't think you're going to win that. You have your reasons, and you have you can fight that ticket in court in an informal hearing. In a situation where you're being approached on the street, you can always ask, why are you being stopped? And that's probably, one of the biggest things that upsets me is, whether I watching the videos or even if you see police officers on TV, why are you stopping me? Well, I'm not going to tell you why I'm stopping you until you give me all your identification. There is nothing wrong with telling an individual why you're stopping them. I'm stopping them because I got a call of an individual that's, cutting through a backyard or looks suspicious. You be upfront, you communicate, you don't have the attitude, and things will work out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Terry, same question. Would you like me to read it again?
No, I will agree with the sheriff at the end there when he said that officers should let the people, the citizen know right away why they're having an encounter with them. I don't care if you're pulling them over for a speeding ticket or stop sign or red light. When you pull somebody over, they truly may not know why you pulled them over. There's nothing wrong with letting the citizen know, hey, I'm pulling you over. You're going kind of quick. You went through that red light. You made an illegal left-hand turn. And then, from there on, the citizen, they don't have to be cooperative unless, obviously have to be cooperative to a point. But that's where the training comes in with our law enforcement officers, where they need to de-escalate if they have a situation where somebody is being uncooperative. So it doesn't turn into an arrest. It doesn't turn into a violent encounter. Treat people the way you want to be treated, but that's a training issue as well. Let people know why you're pulling them over. Let them know you're legally there, and what you're stopping them for. If you have the reason to get identification, you have a probable or reasonable suspicion they committed a crime, you can force them to give you the ID. If you don't, then you can advise them that as well and send them on their way. But in the traffic stop situation, I see that over and over, and it escalates for no reason whatsoever. I've always, I don't ever remember not telling somebody when I came up to the vehicle why I pulled them over. Right, why'd you pull me over? I told them right away. That to me is common courtesy, and it should be taught. I think it's just a practice that some bad law enforcement officers started, and it's kind of carried on.
Thank you very much. So this next question is from another young person, 18 years old, and it's kind of a hard question, and I'm going to add a little bit to it as well. Sonia Massey, and this is for both of you. Sonia Massey, an unarmed Black woman, was shot in her own home by a deputy after calling 911 to report a possible break-in. Incidents like this make communities hesitant to call the police for protection. How can police departments improve training to prevent such tragedies and ensure people feel safe seeking help? And I would also add, because we've talked a lot about trainings this evening. What are those trainings? What do they look like? And so, Terry, I'll start with you.
Well, once again, like I said, we have to have scenario-based training. We have to have competent, cultural diverse trainers come in. We have to put these officers in real-life situations. So when they see something, it's not for the first time. And I know the video you're talking about. It was sent to me. It was a travesty. We have to be able to de-escalate instead of escalating the situation. We have to put strategies in place, and we have to have policies and procedures. We have to always make sure these officers are wearing their body cams, and we have to, once again, revert back to training. And the best thing I can see is the cultural diversity training, the scenario trainings, to get these officers prepared for situations. The military does it. Law enforcement's been doing it forever. You react the way you train, plain and simple.
Okay, thank you. Same question to you, Tony. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm pretty good with it. And, I'm going to piggyback on what Terry said. Again, it's twofold. One is the training. We do scenario based. We do the shoot, don't shoot. Is it a knife? Is it a weapon? Are you communicating? We have the virtual reality type training that goes on. We do the hands-on training. And again, it all goes back to the communication training and understanding. I'll never try to second guess somebody when they're going through a situation, but I will tell you the one thing is when tragedy like that happens, as the leader of a law enforcement agency, you have to get out in front of it. You have to get into the community. You can't say we're not releasing this or we're not releasing that. The community has to understand. They have to see what transpired. And yep, there are many times, unfortunately, in certain situations where, as sheriff or as the chief of police, you've got to stand up and say, we made a mistake and we're sorry. And you know what, we're going to do a better job. And obviously in these situations, cases go to the prosecutors and people get charged. And, it does also start with who you're hiring. You're making sure that, you're doing thorough backgrounds and you're making sure individuals are getting through the psychological tests and making sure that through their training, they know how to respond. They know how to act. They know how to deal with these certain situations. We get a year or so to evaluate people to say you didn't successfully complete your probationary period. Again, it's really easy for us if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing and communicating and doing the job the way it should be done, then we need to dismiss them and they need to find another career.
Thank you very much, both of you. And so another question kind of it's very much related. And Tony, I will start with you. I believe, did I start with Terry? Did I start with you last time? So Tony, I'll start with you on this one.
Okay.
How are police officers trained to handle mental health crisis, especially in communities of color? And I will add to that, are there officers with dual training like social work or mental health that come along? Like, how does that work?
So we have a crisis intervention training. It's called CIT. We provide it in the jail for the deputies that work in the jail, and we have been providing it to the law enforcement or the road patrol deputies. We are using in Macomb County we have put together a program where we're using that opiate settlement money, and we are offering training to all law enforcement agencies in Macomb County. So we're working on a train the trainer for individuals that will go through the 40-hour course and be able to train their personnel in critical incident training. And we'll be providing the CIT 2 or 3 day course to as many law enforcement officers in Macomb County as possible. And that's all being funded through the opiate settlement money. The training is free. It's very, very important that we get that training to all of our personnel, because whether it's inside a facility or outside, again, the people that we are dealing with many of them have mental health issues, and we're the problem solvers. We're the ones that have to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to handle it. Not everybody needs to go to jail. We have to find additional services for them. Our central intake and assessment facility that will open up in 2027. I mean, that's really the bread and butter of what we're going to try and do there. Is people that come through the jail that are arrested anywhere in Macomb County are going to be initially screened, whether it's medically, substance use issues, or mental health issues. And depending on the crime, is there somewhere else we could take this individual instead of keeping him incarcerated?
Thank you very much. Terry, same question?
Well, I'd advocate for a partnership with the mental health crisis involvement team, made up of not only mental health workers, but also of those who are of culturally diverse backgrounds in this field, so that they can be sent out like we would call for an accident investigator or a crime reconstruction scene deputy. These teams have to be available. The mental health issue is probably the biggest issue in our jails and in our lockups and even when it comes to confinement nowadays, because of all the mental health help that has just gone away in our state over the last 20 years. So this is the jails have been used as as a mental facility, and that's not what they're made for. We do have to partner with the mental health folks, and we do have to partner with the culturally diverse partnerships so that they can once again know what's going on, and before even they come to the jail, know where these folks need to go. Do they need to go to the hospital? They need to go to a psych evaluation, or are they okay to go to jail?
Thank you very, very, very much, both of you. I think this is a good time to move into our closing statements. We have just a few minutes left. Terry, I'm going to call on you to do your 2-minute closing statement, and then I will call on you, Tony.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. As a dedicated law enforcement professional for over 35 years, across city, state, county, and federal law enforcement, I stand before you as a committed public servant who believes in the core values of justice, community, and integrity. I understand that our communities face significant challenges, and I'm here to bridge that gap between law enforcement and the citizens we serve. My approach is rooted in collaboration, transparency, and accountability. I believe that building trust with our diverse communities is essential to effective policing and public safety. I assure you that my commitment to serving all citizens, regardless of political affiliation, race, creed, color, religious, it doesn't make a difference. I'm dedicated to fostering the environment where everyone feels safe, heard, and respected. Together, we can implement community-based initiatives that address the root cause of crime, prioritizing mental health resources. I ask you for the support, not just for me as your sheriff, but as a vision of law enforcement as inclusive, compassionate, and effective. Let's all work together to make Macomb County safer for you and your families. God bless.
Thank you very much. Tony?
Well, thank you again for giving me the opportunity, and I'm glad Terry came here and we were able to discuss our differences, our issues, and our visions here in Macomb County. 39 years at the sheriff's office, 14 years as the sheriff. I've seen it all. I've worked to it. I understand the issues here in Macomb County, and I'm dealing with the issues. I've built the relationships with with civic leaders, with city leaders, township leaders, local law enforcement. We have an understanding. We are moving the Macomb County Sheriff's Office in the right direction. Our requests for services continue to grow. And as sheriff, I want to continue and be part of that. The Central Intake and Assessment Center is a big piece. Been working on this for 20 years. As sheriff, I've been fighting to get a new jail. People will say we do not need a new jail. Folks, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and even 1999, these facilities are old, they're outdated, they're not what supervision of personnel and inmates is supposed to be. We are going forward to make sure that we're doing it right. I truly have an understanding. We were able to get this project off the ground and get it to where Macomb County will be on the forefront of dealing with people arrested here in Macomb County. And I will be committed to be the sheriff of all the people. I always have been. I've always been available. I always follow the Constitution, and I do not play the political game. So I thank you, and I look for your support in November.
Thank you both. I think this has been a wonderful discussion. I really appreciate you both for being here. I want to thank you both for your service to our communities and appreciate you. I want to thank Christy as our timekeeper. I think this was wonderful. This video will be available no later than Saturday, and it will be up and available for everyone to see and to listen to. So thank you everyone for joining us this evening. And if you want more information about the Macomb County NAACP branch and to learn how to join, you can go to macombnaacp.org and learn more there. My name is London. It was a pleasure to serve as your moderator this evening, and we're going to go ahead and close. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, London.
Hey, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great job, London.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody.
Thank you, Terry.
Sheriff,
Thank
have
you,
a good one.
Tony.
So much.
Take care, sir.
Bye-bye.